welcome you back to the Life Connected podcast, the City of Celina's chance to share events and people and places and all things Celina with people who call this home, with those who are thinking about calling this home, or those who are just stopping by to see what all the scuttlebutt is about in Celina, as you should. It is happening, it is exciting here, and we've been talking on this journey with the Economic Development Corporation, the EDC of Celina, first with Executive Director Anthony Satterino, and now Melissa Thomas, who is the Director of Marketing and Tourism, joins us. Melissa, you and I have worked together a ton across these years, and what fun it's been doing it. I want the people who haven't heard your story before to find out from you, how did you get to Celina, Texas?
Great to be here. Thanks so much, Mark. So my story, I've done a lot of different things. Sort of the path that led me to Celina. I grew up in Plano, then I had the opportunity to raise my family in Frisco. And when this opportunity presented itself in Celina, I sort of felt like the moon and the stars and the sun all aligned. The path that directly brought me to Celina was I worked in a tourism perspective for the city of Farmers Branch. But in that capacity, I also worked for the Economic Development Corporation, but my specialty was tourism, trying to bring visitors in from outside the city to come and spend nights in hotel rooms in the city. And then after Farmers Branch, I had an opportunity to work for a startup at Baylor Scott & White, Sports Performance Center at the Star, and started that up as director of events. Then COVID happened, and then reached out to the EDC, and they had an opportunity to start up a marketing program. And really my background sort of aligned with that, from tourism to economic development to placemaking, destination development, branding, marketing, all of those things, and they just kind of fit in line with being in the path of growth and really telling the Celina story, which is what I love.
One thing I've learned about you is you're a visionary, and so when you had an opportunity to jump and come to the Celina EDC, I've got to believe you saw it. You recognized, you saw, you realized something special was coming to this place. Tell me
Absolutely,
about that.
Absolutely. So I had heard about Celina, but I was one of the folks that thought it was far out. And so when I went and I knew about the opportunity, I went and drove around and kind of got a feel for the city. And honestly, the second I stepped out of my car and I was on the square, I just sort of sat there and I'm like, what is happening right now? There's just something amazing. And then just visiting downtown, I walked into a lot of the businesses. I heard the music on the square. And I said, this is something I need to be a part of. Really felt like it was an opportunity of a lifetime. The reason that my job got created was because at the time, it was 2021, the number one priority of the EDC board was to start developing a strategic marketing opportunity. So I literally had a blank slate in front of me, kind of at ground zero. And it was too amazing of a story to pass up, of just telling how special the community is, and really I was really drawn to the history of Celina and keeping that alive. I felt like where I was in my life, like you don't get that opportunity all the time. And to tell the past and how that leads to the future and just the explosive growth, it's a fun story to tell. And working for EDCs and tourism and marketing and destination development, depending on where you work, you're kind of dealt, you have the deck of cards and that's the hand you're dealt, and you have to make the best of that story. In Celina, it's night and day different because it's an incredible, amazing, unique opportunity to tell a story. So it's a fun story, and to be visionary, it's just something that you can't compare. It's so authentic, and I don't think a lot of people who wear the marketing hat like I do have all the assets that I have in my toolbox, because there's so much content, there's so many testimonials, there's so much history, there's so much passion in the city that makes what I do very fun.
You started with a clean slate. Now you have a smorgasbord. It's no longer a clean slate. You've progressed to become not just director of marketing, but now marketing and tourism. Interesting. We don't have hotels yet. We don't have airports yet. We don't have, the things that you would normally associate with tourism. So as director of marketing and tourism, tell the folks what it is that you spend your time doing most every day.
Absolutely. And so one of the things I've learned over the years when I was part of the Texas Association of Convention and Visitors Bureaus which is kind of transitioning now into a destination organization. But there's just a lot of chemistry and overlap and synergy, as evidenced in the state's office, between economic development and tourism. There just is. They used to kind of operate more in silos, and now even in Austin, they're one office. And I am very much a big believer that economic development and tourism go hand in hand. And so having a background of working in destination development, that is something that I can help lay the groundwork to get that up and running and be a part of that story to get that organization set up for the city of Celina. Because when you have people from outside the city coming in and spending money in your city, that is an economic development driver. And so a lot of the things that I look at and that we put in place from a marketing perspective all kind of tie back to visitor spending, destination development, bringing events that the city does and getting people to stay longer, linger longer, spend more time downtown, help be basically visionary and work with a team to make Celina a destination. And so I feel like I bring that perspective of it because they really are interrelated, getting people in the businesses. The more businesses we have, the more visitors we have. There's kind of this model that I turn to a lot, that when you come to Celina and if you're a business, the first thing you do is you visit Celina, right? And then if Celina is a great place to visit, it's a great place to build a business. If it's a great place to build a business, it's a great place to live. And so it's this cycle, right, of living, working, playing, visiting, all of those things, they all intertwine. And so raising all of that to a higher level, they really do benefit each other. And at the end of the day, all of those things are economic development and improve the quality of life.
Talk about programs for small businesses, large businesses. What are some things that you're doing with your marketing hat on in this question to boost business engagement and visibility for all businesses in Celina, large and small?
Absolutely. So one of the most exciting things that we just recently completed, we've been working, I would imagine, over 6 months on a brand new highlight video. And in that video, we really tell the story of what's happening for all businesses in Celina. We really frame it in that aspect. We focus on the development that's going on, huge focus on downtown. We talk about you highlight quality of life, residential. It even goes into school districts, police, fire, all the things to highlight the investment, the public investment that the city has made that directly impacts the private investment that's coming to Celina. So that's one example is of that video to showcase Celina, because when we're showing off the city, I think one of the things, I'm a very visual person, and so the video concept that they can put on their website. We promote a lot of the businesses that way. We have a website that we launched that's less than a year old. It was a fresh new look, fresh photography, fresh video. One thing I'm very compelled to do, because Celina is such a beautiful community, is to get authentic photography and not use stock photography. And so I really do feel like a lot of the businesses, we've done professional photography for some of the businesses and given that to them so that they can promote and highlight through social media. We also do business connection videos for a lot of the businesses. Then they get to tell their story of what drew them to Celina. So we do our best to promote and highlight businesses collectively, just to showcase what an amazing community Celina is. And one of the things that we try to weave throughout all of our marketing is the city's tagline is Life Connected. And a big part of economic development from a marketing standpoint is really weaving that theme in of being connected. And so when we're talking to businesses that are potentially, we're recruiting them and getting them to think about opening a business in Celina, we really try to tie in how important it is for your business to succeed, to have that connectivity. Plug into the chamber, plug into the local events, shop local. If you need help plugging into the city or development services or permitting, we can connect you with that. Just being a connected member of society. Come to our Friday night markets and have a booth, right? Get to know the community. Go to all the different things. There's so many events that the city has, formal and informal. But the connecting part of it, I feel like a lot of the marketing that we do is encouraging our businesses, the ones that are here and the ones that are potentially coming here, is to explain to them how important it is that the connections are. That really does make a difference. We just had a quarterly business meeting last week, and once a quarter we bring all the Celina businesses in, and we talk to them about that. We also have a business directory on our website that is only for Celina businesses, another way to get plugged in. So we really do try to market, big, small, and medium businesses, and have that recurrent theme going in to not only plug into the community events, but also plug in with other business owners. Because a lot of times, because our community is so special, we find that the businesses work together and help each other. Like, they'll buy product from each other, they'll help promote each other, they work together for special events. And so it's really neat to see, and it makes the marketing story even that more remarkable to tell.
Cool. We're with Melissa Thomas, Director of Marketing and Tourism for the Celina EDC, continuing on our podcast journey when talking about the Economic Development Corporation and just the overall 30,000-foot view of how the EDC impacts life and business in Celina. I think this has to be one of your most incredible functions of your job. But here's the question I have for you. How do you promote Celina when you're out and about and you're going to conferences and you're in Vegas or wherever these shows you go to? How is it that you promote Celina as the premier destination to live, work, and play?
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's what's so amazing is in the time that I've been with the city, I've been fortunate to be a part of it, is to see the progression of talking about Celina. The first time we went to a show till now. We literally went from having a booth in the corner, and now we have a booth and we have a line at our booth. And so we're doing something right. That's because right. the recognition, the brand and awareness, it's kind of been a journey, but it's so fun to tell the story, to show the pictures, to show the video, to show the statistics of the growth, and just talk about 10 miles of Preston, 10 miles of the tollway, and all the things that are coming. And one of the things that sets the stage for the growth that's coming is when you talk to folks that are looking at Celina as a potential destination to move their business. They cannot believe how many people are moving to Celina, and typically their retail follows rooftops. And so one of the ways that right out of the blocks, when we talk about how many people are moving to Celina, that's a conversation starter. They always want to know, what is it about Celina that's making so many people move there? And honestly, we tell them it's all the things. I mean, it's our schools, it's our safety, it's our police, it's our fire, it's our special events. Undoubtedly, it's our downtown, it's our people, it's the community, it's the history, all of those things. And it really does catch people's attention, because they'll say, that just seems too good to be true. And we say, because it is.
That's right.
I mean, it really is a remarkable place. And then we say, well, come visit us. And we're on the square. And so they come to the square, and then they meet with us, and they're just like, this is amazing. This is like an amazing environment, climate. Everyone's so friendly. Downtown, the music, people are laughing. There's just something there's chemistry. And so that's a big conversation starter. I was very intentional with, like I said, using real footage for video and photography. And when people were out and about at different events or in different functions, we really do point that out, that this really is Celina, what we're showing you. We're not just showing you some make-believe thing or stock. And so that's an important part. And I think our team, we really do look at ourselves like connectors. And so we really try to connect the investors with the developers, with the legacy landowners, and that's one of the things we do. And then through all of that, that really does paint the story of who Celina really is.
Yeah, that's right. You've talked about marketing initiatives and brand strategy. How do things like that help promote the overall goal of economic development in Celina?
They really do, and I'm glad you asked that because at this critical juncture that we are right now, our hometown spirit, Celina has grown so fast in such a short amount of time, and then in the same sentence we say, we're one of the fastest growing cities in the country, and so last year we decided this was a really good time to bring in a company that does branding specifically for economic development in cities. And so we're working with an organization that's helping us move through this process to literally get feedback from the community. We've done over 80 focus groups, interviews. Right now we have a community survey going on. We're getting quantitative and qualitative data to help us do just that, like really find the authentic voice for who the city is, keeping that small town feel, but being the fastest growing in the country. And so we're going through a process, and we turn to marketing experts to help us go through that, to work through it. We even have a website, it's called imaginecelina.com, that will show the community all the steps that we're going through. Right now we're in the research phase, and then we're going to move into the creative phase, and then we're going to implement. But when we move through that entire process, the remarkable part of it is that it's going to be basically a collection of what the community and what residents and what business owners and what investors and brokers, it's all of their feedback that's going to help establish the brand of who Celina really is. A lot of people think the brand is your logo, and you and I both know it's so much more than that. And so we're really going to fine tune and hone in on who Celina is right now and how we're going to move that marketing message forward at this critical time of this explosive growth, and then be true to that and make sure that that is consistent with messaging, with voice, with tone, fonts, colors, and every other thing. So we're really excited to have partnered with an agency to help us move through that process.
This is what marketing minds nerd out on,
yes.
Right? I mean, this is it. People who know you and have the joy of working with you know that you're a collaborator. You are constantly working with the city, working with the chamber, working through your role at the EDC to bring about the best for everybody in Celina and to promote our businesses. Tell me how your collaboration strategies, how do those help our businesses when you're working with the city and working with the chamber and constantly laboring on behalf of our smallest businesses and our largest businesses?
Yeah, absolutely. I think so much of it is, like you said, the key word is collaboration. We really do try to be the advocates for businesses, regardless of the size, and we connect them. And we use a lot of experience of folks that have gone through it, that have done startups from bigger businesses, and we help them work through the process. We really do feel like that part of the strategy is it's not really cookie cutter. We're customizing what their needs are, and we're helping them find the resources that they need, and then we help them with the marketing support that goes right hand in hand with that. And we're trying to keep everything really fresh and really intentional, and connecting, collaborating, really listening. I think that's a really big part of economic development, is listening to the challenges that the businesses have, because everyone has challenges. There's just a lot that goes into starting a business. The small businesses, that's what most of the heart and soul of our country is, small businesses. And so collaborating, listening, connecting to resources. We do a lot with, if there's a specific need for businesses and they have challenges, we put our thinking hat on and go, okay, how can we connect them to local, state, so many different resources, grants, different funding, consultants, all the different things. And so we don't just have like one approach of like, go to our website and you'll find the answer. We really do a deep dive, because we know whatever businesses come to Celina, that they're special, that they chose us, they could have gone anywhere. And so we really do try to connect and hold their hand throughout the entire process.
This has been an awesome time with Melissa Thomas, our Director of Marketing and Tourism with the Celina EDC. Last question, and it's a fun question. I want to know, what do you want the residents of Celina and just people who will tune into this podcast, what do you want them to know that you're most passionate about in the coming years for Celina and what's on our horizon?
From my perspective, I would say one of the most important things to me is to know that we're authentically and accurately representing Celina from a marketing perspective, and that people in Celina should be so proud to live in Celina because it is such an amazing place to live, work, and play. And I feel like it's always going to be like fresh, innovative content because there's so much content, and I think there's a vibe that people can tell from a business perspective, from a residential perspective, to keep that legacy alive. And I would say I would love that the marketing legacy the EDC lives is keeping the momentum, the charisma, that special feel for generations to come, and to just keep staying connected with other businesses in the community. And that would mean a lot. That it means that what we're doing right now is really working.
That's so incredible. Thanks again, Melissa, for being a part of our Life Connected podcast and just this in-depth look at the Celina Economic Development Corporation. We wish you the best and hope that you can come back and visit with us soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Mark.
And we are continuing our Life Connected podcast discussion, talking about the Economic Development Corporation, or the EDC. So many people talk about EDCs, and yet very few people understand that all the cool things that EDC folks get to work in. At the Celina EDC, it's one of the fastest moving and yet smart and wise growth groups of people I've been around. So we're so honored as we continue this conversation today to welcome our newest member of the team, Andy Buffington. Andy is the Director of Community Development for the Celina EDC. So I not only welcome you to the podcast, man, way to get to do this your first month on the job, but welcome you to Celina and say we are so glad you're here. What brought you to Celina?
Well, I appreciate that warm welcome. It's been that way ever since I got started March 3rd. I go home to the wife and I think, just pinch me. Is this a real life situation? How hospitable and genuine the people are of Celina. So I'm so happy to join the team here, and the momentum that's going on is just something that's incredible to be a part of. But prior to this, my position with Celina, I was at the city of Dallas in their business and community development office as a manager there. And then prior to that, at the city of Cedar Hill, also in a corporation for the economic development office out of the municipality in Cedar Hill for about 10 years. So some great, phenomenal growth I've seen since I've been in North Texas, and happy to be a part of that's going on in Celina.
Your background, your journey started outside of North Texas, but not too far. Tell us where you grew up so folks will know why you have that great Southern charm.
Oh, well, thank you for that. Yeah, North Louisiana my whole life. Born and raised out of Monroe, Louisiana, and then through high school was over in Shreveport, Bossier City, and then finished off with my studies at the University of Louisiana Tech in Ruston, Louisiana. So I got to say, go Bulldogs, but I'm not going to compete with any mascots around here. So I'm all Bobcat now.
Yeah, that's right. There's a little bit. People around here have just a small sports opinion, if you haven't noticed that yet. It's so good to have you here, Andy. As a Director of Community Development in Downtown Services, what are your primary responsibility? Because I think if there's two things that people in Celina care about the most, it's development and it's also downtown. And so you kind of wrap your role around both. Talk to me about that.
You know, it is. It's a great kind of paradigm shift that we're moving into, because there's so much rooted in what has been, and that is, the roots of Celina is in that heart of downtown, and we don't really look at it as just the heart. It's really the heartbeat of what's going on here. And it's so important that we stay true to that heritage, to that culture, to the roots that have been embedded in this community. It's really, truly the fabric that we're trying to weave through new development that's coming in, that we're building that relationship early in the start for these folks that want to come in and build the big box and build these, bigger retailers and things of that nature, making sure that they know the spirit of this community is going to live long past the walls of their buildings that they're building here. So
that's right.
The culture.
It's true. And we talked with Anthony Satterino, the Director of EDC, a little bit about that tightrope balance between growing as a city and yet always guarding that beautiful heart and soul that makes Celina who we are. Tell me what your plans are, Andy. How are you planning to strengthen downtown Celina while supporting this citywide growth that we're experiencing together?
Well, it is. It's a balancing act, Mark, to be honest. It is, because there's so much that people are invested in their livelihoods for downtown businesses. These folks have been here for years. They've invested in what the future of that's going to look like. So staying true to that investment, it's much different than deep pockets that come out of, global, corporate headquarters that come in. So it's just important for us to stay true and listen to what the merchants in downtown have to say, and then also never losing sight of the planning that's gone into that. So thankfully, I walked right into a framework that's been adopted by both City Council and the EDC Board of Directors that really is what we go to for our OKRs, or the objectives and the goals and the priorities of what we're going to accomplish.
Is there any validity to a longtime Celina resident, or maybe one of our legacy families, who has so many lifetime memories wrapped up in that downtown square, and they're worried and wondering, all these big businesses are coming, all these gajillions of people are coming. I guess the square one day will just go away and never be a thing. It'll just be a thing of the past.
I hope I never hear that come out of anyone's mouth. I think that's the part that people crave about today's society. We went through so much with 2020 and the challenges there. When people wanted to come out again and reconnect, they want somewhere that they can go and be a part of a community. And so, go into the square of Celina, you think, wow, this reminds me of the 80s. You remember the 80s? Safe, hospitable, people could trust one another, safe, clean environment where they can go. And those memories are being made with the new generation of the population that's coming into Celina. So we like to call those our boomerangs. So go out, go get educated, go learn all the great things that you can outside of this place, and then bring it right back when you start having your family, and let's get together and continue to build on the heritage that's been here.
I love it. I love that answer. We're talking with Andy Buffington, the Celina EDC Director of Community Development and Downtown Services. Such a mouthful of title. You've got a lot on your plate. Tell me this, as we talk about some economic development growth, what strategies do you plan to implement to drive this growth and provide downtown businesses with a chance to win while it seems like everything else is now starting to expand beyond downtown?
Sure. Well, that's where a focused business retention program comes into play. So we're actually launching right now a local business support program that's going to start with some one-on-one consulting for these merchants downtown, the business owners for downtown, talk about financial literacy, marketing literacy, how to staff up and how to find good help at your business, and then the longevity of a 5-year to 10-year business plan. We want to really be there with them lock and step through that process, because a lot of the big corporations coming up on Preston Road and those things, those are just, cookie cutter. They know what they're doing. They come in, they plop it down. It's much different. The livelihood of the merchants in downtown that are investing there, it's their livelihood in that. And it's an emotional process for them, and it's just as emotional for us for them to continue being there.
That's great to hear. And tell us some ways that you have in mind, even though you're newer here. I know that you've already heard about the downtown master plan and all these things. What are some things that you and the EDC and the city and the chamber and others have in mind to continue to enhance downtown while all these other areas are developing? What are we going to do downtown around the square?
What we're going to do is we're going to keep the open lines of communication. That's really what it boils down to. We all want to hear what each other, what are the challenges, what are the great things going on, and then having that grapevine be something that's a great word of mouth for others that are wanting to locate to the area. So, we want to keep that word of mouth positive, and the experience that not only the investors have here, but also the visitors alike. And so I think taking in that all those different dialogues into account is something that you build on too. And that's going to give you longevity for the future.
Downtown Celina is not downtown if all we have is an empty square. Those local businesses, many who have been here a long time, some who are newer, they matter. They matter to people. They matter to you. They matter to the city. What role do you see small business and local business, mom and pops, playing as development and revitalization continues in and around the city?
I believe they're a model for what we actually instill in that, and it's also bringing together stakeholder groups. You look at the Chamber of Commerce, we have a great working relationship with them, Downtown Commission, bringing all those different groups together. That's really what my role here as the Director of Community Development and Downtown Service is going to serve, is really a conduit for building relationships and making sure that all these groups are understanding where we're headed as goals and priorities are starting to get checked off the list.
Yeah, that's incredible. We're talking about Andy Buffington from the Celina EDC. Andy, again, you're just, a month in. You already have more head knowledge than I have, and I've lived here 15 years. I feel guilty about it. What are your priorities for downtown Celina's development in the immediate 5 years? We're going to go further in a moment, but in the immediate 5 years, what do you see as the opportunities for development in downtown Celina?
Well, I think it's really staying true to what we want to build and accomplish here. So a $93 million investment that the city's making is a huge commitment from what the taxpayers are going to be building into that, and what the parking garage is going to serve as, really that whole walkable, safe environment. We're already in talks with the city about some components of what we can have integrated there for the chamber, for downtown, and for the EDC, for tourism and involved in that. But staying true to that, and then increasing on the walkability, increasing on what we're going to provide to the visitors, but also the residents, and always balancing what we're hearing out in the community and staying true to what the goals and objectives of the council is and our EDC board.
That's so exciting to hear. And lastly, I want to hear your beyond 5 years. When you look at the square today, you stand at your building's front door and you look across the square from south to north. What do you see happening 5, 6, 7, 10, 12, 15 years from now in Celina's most sacred space?
It's funny that you want it in there, because the thing about that has been questioned is, who do you want to be like? And I don't see Celina being like anybody else that's in North Texas, And honestly, I do believe that in the bottom of my heart, just from the people and the presence and the activity and the way that people participate in what's going on here. You don't find that in every city across North Texas. So I think making sure that seat at the table is always open for hearing about how they want to see this stay rooted in the heritage and where we've been, where we are now, and where we're going to be in 10, 20 years from now. But I know I'm happy to roll up my sleeves and be a part of it.
That's what I love to hear. Somebody said hats off to the past and coats off to the future. And I think that's what's made North Texas great, and it's what's going to make Celina unique. I want to ask you on a personal level, having just come recently, Andy Buffington, Director of Community Development and Downtown Services for the Celina EDC, when you and your family come to the Celina Square, it's still new to you. What do you experience when you show up?
Well, I make sure and bring plenty of cash for my wife to go shop at Annie Jack and all the different little spots around town. Before I took the job with Celina, me and my wife, Samantha, we made our way around the square, and just honestly, it's still been a dream to that. But now with the kids, they've been in McKinney ISD, they're ready to become Bobcats. So that's something else we're looking forward to becoming a part of. But with the square in general, it harkens back to a time where I grew up, where the parents would let you run off and get home when the street light came on. It's a safe environment. It's a clean environment, a place where you want to experience and take memories home and then create those for generations to come. That's where I'm looking forward to integrating my family into what's going on here. It's a special place.
It is, and we are glad that it's going to be more special with the Buffington crew all here. And so we welcome and we thank Andy Buffington, Director of Community Development and Downtown Services for the Celina Economic Development Corporation. Thanks for taking time to spend with us, and thanks to all of our listeners and viewers who have spent time with us here as we have journeyed through Celina's EDC. It is an exciting time in our city. It is a growth time, and with growth come growing pains. But any of us who have seen in North Texas this movie before, we know it ends really, really well. And you being here, Andy, is going to be a key part of that. Thanks for being here. And thanks to all who have listened and been a part of this podcast. We look forward to you joining us again in the future for Life Connected Podcasts. And we hope that you'll come back and see us soon.